Arsenal return to Premier League action after their 6-0 stonking at the London Stadium to take on a Burnley side, which are not the Burnley at Turf Moor that we've come used to playing. A very difficult side under Sean Dyche. This time, a managerless, at least on the touch side, because Vincent Kompany will be suspended. Burnley will be taking on Arsenal as they maybe welcome back some interesting players that have been out for a little while. We'll talk about that and plenty more in today's Arsenal preview show. Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. Back with you guys for another episode of our Arsenal preview show. I'm joined, as always, by some fantastic members from our Discord server. I'm joined by Tom. How you doing, mate? You good? You well?
I am wonderful, especially after that trouncing last week.
Yes. Were you one of those that predicted quite a heavy score? I'm trying to remember who it was.
I apologize. I missed. I said 5-1.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, fair enough. If you had just put one of those goals on the other side, you would have got it spot on. But a ye of little faith.
I know. I need to have more faith in our Mr. Rice taking our set pieces. So we'll get to that.
Indeed, it was very good. It was very good indeed. Alex, how are you, mate? You good? You well?
Yeah, I'm not doing too badly. I'm in the depths of dissertation hell. So
yeah, I've been there.
So I'm doing all right. Just very, very busy.
Yeah, it is. I hate references. References are the worst thing to ever exist. It's like, why don't you just believe me if I've written it? Just believe I took it from a good source. Like, why are you having to reference everything? But you know, it is what it is. And lastly, Garrett joins us as well on his iPhone because his technology is letting us down. How you doing, mate? You good? You well?
Yeah, not bad. Apart from the howler with my webcam, I am not too bad. Yeah, looking forward to this.
Mate. Portrait suits you, so it's all good. It's all good. As I said, Arsenal taking on Burnley at Turf Moor. Tom, very different Burnley side to what we're used to, isn't it?
Yeah, they're sticking with what they got them there too. So there's not much of a chance that we're going to see the same kind of packing it in that we see at a lot of times we've seen with them. We're not going to see that as we see against a lot of the lower sides. We're actually going to probably see a team that's going to come out and try to play with us a little bit. That could be to their detriment, but
yeah, and Vincent Kompany will not, Alex, be on the touchline for this as he serves a pitch side pan. We know how much that affects you because we lost to Aston Villa with Arteta not there. Do you feel as though that will play any kind of part in this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think not having your manager there, I think Arteta's probably one where it affects you a lot because he sort of drives the team in quite a big way. I don't excuse me. I don't necessarily think that Kompany does it in the same way. He's maybe not as vocal, but I think certainly not having your manager there is always going to have an effect, especially if they're forced to sit up in the stands. Not having a consistent voice. Maybe his coaches do have it's likely they have a similar output to what he might do, but it's never quite exactly the same.
No, you're absolutely right. I think that Vincent Kompany has been an interesting coach, Garrett, to look at last season more in particular when he got them up from the Championship, playing a very un-Burnley type of football. But that has been a bit of his downfall this season, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's really stuck by his guns, hasn't he? I think he, as one of the guys already said, he hasn't wavered, and I suppose you've got to respect it. But at some point, you now look at Burnley and, well, apart from Sheffield, I say Sheffield are probably worse, but I expected Luton to be a lot worse and Burnley to be better, and that's just not how it's panned out. So, yeah, they're definitely stuck by their guns, but as I said, I think it's probably to their detriment, really.
Yeah, it has been to their detriment. And that said, they have, rallied somewhat in some games, Tom. They've been able to take some points off some teams. They nearly did us a favour against Liverpool when they went back to 1-1, and Kompany felt pretty hard done by in the end with that result. But of all the times we've been to Turf Moor, there is something about this particular time that I'm going there without the anxiousness of a torrid, dogged game that we've been used to in the past.
Yeah, I'm not thinking it's going to be as difficult of a game as typical. They've been very inconsistent, loss, draw kind of for the last few results. They are still sticking to their guns and playing the way that Kompany wants them to play. It's a far cry from the Sean Dyche ways of playing. So It's definitely going to be something that we're going to go in. I'm not going to predict as high of a score. We'll get to that later, but I think it's going to be fairly easy to handle that type of a setup, because we're going to have a little bit more joy than we would normally have against some teams.
Yeah, they've won 3 games all season, which is the joint least in the table as they sit joint bottom with Sheffield United. Alex, this has to be surely one of those games you look at and you go, this is a must-win. I know Liverpool play their early game against Brentford away, which, is not an easy fixture. Man City play Chelsea. Do you feel as though this could be an opportunity weekend for us to gain some points, or do you expect it to be very much 3 wins across the board?
I think every weekend should be seen as an opportunity to take an advantage. I mean, obviously, when you look at the fixtures on paper, then you obviously consider probably 3 wins, but you never know what's going to happen. An injury, a red card, whatever it might be. There's been some questionable refereeing decisions across the board, and so you just don't know. But I think we can't take anything for granted in terms of, obviously, Burnley have had some injury hits in terms of who's going to be there. Lyle Taylor, I think I've just read, is out for another few weeks.
Yeah.
Jordan Byers still out, but Charlie Taylor is coming back in potentially. So that's one to look out for. And obviously Datra Fofana, I think he scored twice, didn't he? So
yeah, did.
So I think it's a very different game to what it is in, but they've got somebody who clearly can score. So that's what they've been struggling with, partly alongside trying to play out from the back against all the question marks of why they're doing it. But I think it's a must-win game for us, certainly. I think every game until the end of the season is going to be a must-win game if we want to have any chance of challenging for the title, to be perfectly honest, because I can't see Liverpool and City slipping up that much. But
Yeah, in the reverse fixture, it was 3-1 Arsenal. We took the lead just before half-time, Trossard scoring, and Saliba scoring 3 minutes after Brownhill had equalised. I remember that game just being so dominant, and we just weren't putting away our chances, much like so many games in the first half of the season. And I thought in that moment, wow, we are going to be punished here. Similarly, actually, to the Liverpool game, rather ironically, where Burnley got an equaliser and then fell to 2 more goals as they did to Arsenal earlier this season. Zinchenko scoring that, I think it was it that kind of weird scissor kick type thing that he managed to do into the top right hand corner, I think, from memory. So yeah, we could do with a more comfortable win here, I think. Garrett, in terms of kind of looking into the squad side of things, Arteta in his pre-match press conference was pretty optimistic that he might have some players back. If there is the scope to have the likes of Zinchenko or Jesus or Tomiyasu, and he was very open about talking about how Partey has been training on the grass for a little bit now as well, do you risk them now, especially considering we've got this Champions League game in midweek as well?
Yeah, for me, I'd kind of not risk them, as you'll see for my team, but I could see some argument maybe to get some minutes in their legs, hopefully, after we've dominated. You maybe bring them on so it's the 60 mark, 70 mark maybe. But as far as starting them goes, I wouldn't risk it. I feel like a lot of these players, Zinchenko, Jesus, it's been reoccurring things, obviously Partey as well. So I don't think it's worth the risk starting them, no.
It's an interesting one with the Porto game, Tom, because with that on Wednesday, you'd imagine Arsenal are going to go full strength in that game. So therefore, is there an argument that we should maybe rotate, considering we're playing a team that you'd expect us, even with some rotation, to be able to beat?
There's an argument to it. I don't know whether or not we're going to do it the way most people would think. I would prefer that we start a similar team to last week. But I do what really needs to happen is we need to get ahead on game state. We haven't done it even against West Ham. We waited 30 minutes before we changed the game state on them, and it came quick, turned around quick in those last few minutes of the first half. But if we can change the game state early enough, and we can get up and we can score a couple goals in the first half, my idea is that we get a lot of the guys that have been injured on second and come in, that they can get a run out there with their, get some feel for the game before our game against Porto, because I think that's going to be a huge match. And if we can do anything there, we're going to set ourselves up for the next round.
Indeed. And Alex, after winning 6-0, You know, there's always the risk that a win like that can put you in an element of being too comfortable, and with, you know, you're thinking you're on top of the world, and momentum can be something that can be a real boost, but it can also be something that sneaks up on you, and suddenly you go a goal down or you concede when you least expect it, and suddenly you're thinking, what on earth's going on? Do you sense that that is a risk with this weekend game?
I mean, they haven't scored many goals.
Yes, they haven't.
But on the other side of that, you're always vulnerable to goals if you go into a game being overconfident. I personally don't think we will be. I think we're going to have to get some goals in the first half, because Arteta, as we know, I know we've got a Champions League fixture, but unless we're quite comfortably ahead, he's very unlikely to do things like bring on, I'm not saying he should, but bringing on Ranieri right at the end of the game. Yeah, he's not going to do that if it's 2-1. He did it because it was 6-0. So I think we have to be wary that you can't rotate too quickly either, in terms of, if you make your substitutes too early, that can have a negative effect on the game as well, because it can cause instability and it can cause pictures to change, within the player's head. So I think we just need to make sure we've secured the win before we think about changes, and we're just going to have to take it game by game. In terms of the Porto game coming up, players are just going to have to, this is the last sort of stretch of the season, and we're going to have to keep on playing people, whether they play 3 games a week. They might just have to, and we hope that we don't get any extra injuries.
Indeed, touch wood, that we don't suffer anymore. And just lastly, Garrett, before we go to the lineups, Arteta, I'm going to give you this question: did not rule out Kylian Mbappe. Give me your thoughts about that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. I feel like it's been very dragged out. I mean, what we've heard, he was leaving, and then he's not leaving for what, maybe 3 summers. At this age, I feel like everyone just wants it to be decided. As far as where we fit in, look, I don't know. I think he's probably destined for Real Madrid, and the man is on an unfathomable amount of money. It's just crazy. So I don't know if we're a massive club, no doubt about that, but would Edu and Arteta be willing to break everything? And I mean, look, he's probably one of the best in the world, so I'd be open to it, but it's a big risk, I guess, isn't it? Really, it's rolling the dice.
Yeah, I think you'd have to be mad to say, if you can do it, you'd be mad to say no. Let's be real. We talk about the idea of how do we close the gap to Erling Haaland. Well, the only player that really does that and puts you on an even keel is Kylian Mbappe, really. So I still think that financially it's mad, unless he's willing to lower his expectations, which from reports suggesting he was a little bit miffed that Real Madrid had come back with a lower offer than before, supposedly. I'm not sure he's going to do that. But I loved what Arteta said. I loved the fact that he, was speaking, and some people say it's lip service, but let's be honest, this is a guy that whenever he's asked about transfers, refuses to talk about them. And he was asked a question in a certain way about Mbappe that I liked. He was asked kind of about the idea of, if they need to be in the equation. And he said, we need to be in the conversation for the best players in the world. And I think that was a great way to answer the question. And certainly, I think, provided plenty of encouragement. Let's go to lineups. I think, Tom, we start with you. Take us through your selection, mate.
Well, like I was saying, next for what we did last week, I kind of want to move it over. I did think a little bit towards the Porto game, and I did sit down Martinelli. I wouldn't mind him getting a little bit of a run out at the end. I'm keeping Kivior in there because I just don't see them putting Zinchenko this early from his injury. I'm not sure whether or not we get Tomiyasu out there until later in the game. Like I said, we've got to change that game state. We've got to get ahead so we have that opportunity. I think Alex was saying it too. We need to go up. We need to be able to get some players on. I put Jorginho in there because he is going to just absorb the pressure. I think we're going to be going forward a lot because they're going to let us go forward a lot. We're going to get the ball deeper because they're going to try to play out from the press. So I think it's a good idea to have Rice more on the left than he was playing against West Ham and have Jorginho deeper. And then, of course, put Havertz at the top. And I haven't picked Havertz to be a star of the game yet this year, even though I'm one of the biggest defenders of Havertz, and my group down in Tampa will let you know there have been some heated discussions about it. So, but I do like to see the fact that Rice is, and we're gonna stop talking about this at the pub. We're not going to complain about having one of our bigger players kicking set pieces anymore, because if he gets 2 more assists in every game the rest of the year, I'm good with it.
Yeah, he took set pieces at West Ham, and I was curious to see if he would start taking them for us, but he didn't at first. And so I thought, oh, okay, they just not deemed him, the player to do it. And then when he started doing it against Palace and Gabriel gets two goals, of course, one comes from Saka, but then obviously the 2 against West Ham as well. It's just been something that we've just not been using. And now it shows you we can go up another level in another aspect of the team as well. Moving forward to Garrett's team, talk us through it, my friend.
Yes, I've gone with Ryan Nets, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Kivior left back. Yeah, much like I wasn't going to rush him back. I think there's no need. We've got a lot of important games coming up, so no, definitely no need. Put Rice, Odegaard, Havertz and Trossard then are both in. I mean, I guess you could probably interchange the positions really, because I think that's what they will do. But just for the sake of it, I've put Havertz in the left 8 and Trossard up top. And then Martinelli and Saka. And then Starman Saka, look, he's on fire, really. Nothing more to say about that.
Yeah, he is. Spoiler alert, he's mine as well, because I just think he's on such a good run. I don't know if anyone saw, you probably did, the numbers about him compared to Cristiano Ronaldo at the same age, and a lot of the other players as well at the same age. It really does make those conversations about whether or not he's in that world-class bracket a bit laughable at this stage. And I think world-class is a subjective term that you're allowed to have your own definition. I was having a chat with Alex from the Different Knock about this, and I said, if he doesn't put Saka in the world-class bracket, and that's because he only sees a few players like Vinicius Jr. or Mbappe, etc. in that's fine. But to me, I have kind of a level above world-class where I describe as like elite players that are in a bracket of their own. Saka's not there yet, but I think to say that he's not world-class, it's incredibly harsh. I mean, he certainly is for me. Alex?
Yeah, so my lineup's obviously, I was about to say the same. Yeah, it's very similar to Garrett's, I think. In fact, it's the same as Garrett's. Yeah, so I've
Is that the same? Yes, it is. Yeah, it's 100% the same.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we've seen from the West Ham game that Arteta's not afraid to change things around if it's not working. I'm very happy for us to start like that. I think it worked a lot better when Kiwior was not trying to play a position he's not really comfortable playing. So I'm perfectly happy for him to sit as part of a back 3 and just defend, because I don't necessarily think he's should be doing much else in the nicest possible way. I like what Ben White offered in the middle. He's played CDM when he was when he's been on loan. I think he was on loan at Leeds, maybe, or someone. That might be completely false, but in my head, that's where he played CDM. And Trossard, I think, on great form at the moment. I've obviously put Odegaard as my star man. I think that he's due a sort of another really, really good performance. And I think he went through. I think people would agree, he went through a little bit of a dry spell for a little bit, struggling with actual contributions. I don't think he played badly necessarily, but I think getting back in and getting some goal contributions in some way is going to help his form a lot. And we see the best of what we saw of him sort of a couple of seasons ago, where he was absolutely on fire. And I've put Havertz in. I really like his defensive work alongside the fact that he's 6'3". So, those things combined, you can't complain too much. It would be nice for him to get a goal as well.
Yeah, interesting going to Burnley and we've got the bigger team. Who'd have thought that, back in the day? It is amazing to see where this team has come since those days of struggling physically. Quickly to go through mine, it's very similar. A couple of changes. White, Raya, Saliba, Gabriel. I've thrown Zinchenko in. Arteta alluded to the fact that there might be some returners. I think Zinchenko, there's a chance he could be one of them. And, I think there's an opportunity to play him. If not, you've got Tomiyasu perhaps back as well. If not, it's obviously, as the boys have said, I've got Kivior in there. But if you can play Zinchenko, I certainly would if he is available for the game. We don't know yet if he's going to be back, but I'd use him if he's available. Rice, Havertz, Odegaard, midfield 3. I love that combination. While Partey is out. Those three, I think, is probably our best for these types of games. We've got Porto midweek. It might it might be that we start Jorginho in that Porto game to give us a little bit of a foundation. We'll have to wait and see, but he's definitely got a role to play in this team. And then up top, Trossard continues. Saka and Martinelli. We don't know if Jesus is back yet. But he's got a real fight on his hands because Trossard's been very good. Goal against Liverpool, a goal now against West Ham as well. He's on a good run of form. So why should he be dropped? When he starts, we have a very good record in terms of winning. It's worth pointing out. I know that his performances in midfield haven't always been great, or when he starts on the left, they haven't always been great. But when he starts as centre forward, we've actually got a really good record of winning games. That's certainly one to look out for. And as I mentioned earlier, Saka has to take the star man at the moment for me. Predictions then. Tom, scoreline and scorers, please.
Okay, so they only have two guys that really scare me, but I still somehow think they're going to get a goal.
Remember you did this against West Ham, and
I know. So I'm thinking 4-1. I think that they've only got Fofana and Brownhill, who's having a good year. I think that they're probably gonna get a goal out of Fofana late, maybe. We're gonna get goals from Havertz, set pieces from Rice. And then we're going to get a goal each from Trossard and from Saka. That's my prediction.
Alex?
I'm going to go 3-0 Arsenal, and I'm going to go Gabriel from a set piece. I'm going to go Declan Rice because I'd love for him to score again. It's so much fun. And I'm going to go for a Ben White screamer to bring it back.
Love it. Garrett's.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a 4-0. I think we need to keep the clean sheets on the road for just confidence as well. And I think we will. I do think we will. So 4-0. I'm going to go with a Havertz, Martinelli, Saka, and then Trossard.
Nice one. Yeah, I'm going to lean into the clean sheet. I'm going to go 3-0. Havertz, Saka, and a Ben White screamer, obviously, to get there too. And I really hope that we see also Liverpool and Man City this weekend. There is, I think, a chance that they could drop points. They got some challenging tests. Chelsea have already taken points off of City this season. Liverpool, of course, have been and have struggled against Brentford in the past. So let's see if that can happen in the chat box. Greg saying 4-0 Arsenal. Iron's going for a 3-1 tightish win. Their main winger, who was troubling Tommy last time, is injured, but his replacement is also good. Ewegbu says 4-2 to the Arsenal. John says 8-0 to us. I love that. Ramsey says 2-0 Arsenal. Trossard and Odegaard. Paul says 3-0 win. And Jungtar says 4-0 is my prediction as well. Temi going for a 3-0 Arsenal. Raya assist, Martinelli screamer, and a Saka brace. And Paul says, sticking with my earlier 4-0 prediction. A massive thank you to my wonderful panel of guests for coming on to our preview show tonight. Please show them plenty of love and appreciation in the chat box and the comment section. If you'd like to show yourself on these preview shows, you can join that by becoming a member on the channel as well. But Tom, thank you for your time, mate. Tell people they can find you.
As usual, at either on Threads or Instagram or on X, Twitter, whatever one you call it, it's Sir Sable. You can find us down in Tampa at the Gulf Coast Schooners. Anytime anybody wants to get out of the cold, come down to Tampa. It's mid-70s Fahrenheit right now, so shorts and t-shirts, baby.
Thinking, what's that? Double it, add 30. What, 20 degrees? Yeah, 20 degrees C about. So nice. Yeah, happy days. Alex, thank you, mate, for your time. Tell people they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me in the Discord or at Bournemouth University Library mainly all the time. So I'll be there for the next 3 months. But
Indeed.
other than that, yeah, on the Discord.
How's the are you still doing the women's team that you talked about before?
We've
going
actually
well?
got our title decider on Sunday.
Ooh, well, best of luck, mate.
Thank you very much. Yeah, no, it's going well. Just stressed on a number of levels at the moment.
Would you be sacked if you don't win? Is that the pressure on?
I hope not. But stranger things have happened, so we won't.
Indeed. Mourinho was sacked before a final. It can come for anyone. So
exactly.
Best of luck, man.
Tomorrow morning, you never know.
You never know. Garrett, tell people I can find you, mate, and thank you.
Yeah, cheers, mate. It was good to be on. As always, just in the Discord, I say, tell everyone, it's worth joining up. It's good cracking there, and obviously you get to come on here. So, yeah, definitely recommend.
Lovely stuff. Thanks, boys. Much appreciated time. And to the chat box as well. I'll be back tomorrow morning at the normal time of 8 o'clock. And I have to say a massive thank you to everyone that helped us to reach our target. We reached 1,000 likes faster than we've ever reached 1,000 likes, despite the fact I was panicking that we might not reach the target this morning. But thank you to so many of you that did it. And we did reach that 1K like target on the 7:30 a.m. show. But I'll be back to the usual time of 8 tomorrow. Have a fantastic Friday evening. Stay safe, stay well, and I'll see you in the morning. Have a great day, and as always, up the Arsenal.